welcome everybody to another one of our live episodes that we're doing here for the $10 and above patrons on the Top 10 show, and for everybody, of course, but certainly the $10 and above patrons get this early. I'm the Outlaw John Rocha, joined as always by this gentleman right there. How are you, Matt?
I'm good. I'm Matt Knost. Hopefully everybody in the chat is having a good day out there, and I'm just jazzed about the announced Friends reunion. You know what I mean? So excited.
Are you really? It's
Fuck
being
no.
sarcastic. Yeah, thank you.
Who cares?
Yeah, a lot of people apparently really care.
Yeah. I know they have fans, but it's just like, I don't know, that show is such a time capsule that I don't know why. And I'm not wishing them. I hope it's a success and everybody enjoys it and it's fun for all involved and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I don't really care. It's just the hoopla being made on Twitter. It's like, this is okay. You know, I never really watched the show. Like, I've seen it. I'm not going to sit here and say I haven't, but I didn't watch it when it came out. I saw it on reruns. But you know, I do like as others pointed out, I didn't notice at the time, the idea that New York is so whitewashed. I mean, that's the way New York should be. You know what I mean? It's that's the most culturally one of the most culturally diverse cities in the world. But let's just see it from the white people's perspective, and I like that. You know?
Yeah.
But yeah, the list of individuals they're having guest starring, I don't even understand how this makes sense. It's fucking crazy. It's like 20 people.
Yeah. Well, it's because it's carry the load, man. This is gonna be like the greatest hits in and out. You know what I'm saying? It took forever to make this happen, and they're probably getting paid a bazillion dollars each for doing it. And this was the natural culmination, don't you think, Matt? Like, we've seen all these shows coming back. Like, even fucking Frasier is coming back, for God's sakes. So
is it really?
Yes. Yeah. Frasier got announced a few weeks ago. So, you know, it started with Roseanne, I guess, coming back, and then Will and Grace, and then all these other shows coming back for these short stints. Even Night Court is now coming back, apparently, with John Larroquette, playing, and Melissa Rauch playing Harry Anderson's daughter, and now she's the judge. And apparently John Larroquette's character either is still an attorney or is the DA or something like that. So very, very interesting situation. So it naturally culminated with the Friends. And I hope after this, we're done bringing these old shows back, because nothing screams, we got no new ideas, than trying to bank on nostalgia for a short amount of time for ratings and money from sponsors. Who's
excited about Night Court coming back?
I mean, look, I
enjoyed it when it was on,
but it's without Harry Anderson. Is it going to be the same magic? I don't think so.
I mean, you got to have John Larroquette, so at least they got that.
Right. Absolutely.
But beyond that, like, I don't. And the Friends thing, like, you know, your assertion that they're going to pay them a lot of money. I'm pretty sure they're all happy to have the paycheck, except for Aniston, who's, you know, had a booming movie career. So the rest of them are like, well, you know, how much are we talking? I'm fine with, you know, some 100,000 to show up one day, like, you know, ridiculous. They've all made enough money off that show. I don't know that they necessarily need to pay them crazy amount, but wow, Frasier and Night Court makes no sense to me.
Right. Yeah, there's a number of them. Where's the Silver Spoons reunion? Is that one coming back? I mean, Schroeder's still around, I think.
Yeah, but I believe he's kind of turned persona non grata here in Hollywood.
Oh, that's right.
So I don't know if Silver Spoons is going to come back anytime soon.
What do they call TV boots? Yeah, TV reboots and revivals. There are so many that are happening. The Gilmore Girls had one, right? They did one on Netflix for a long time. Then Will and Grace. They tried to bring back Charmed, and then some of the women from the old Charmed were upset about it.
There was go ahead.
No, go ahead. There's what?
I was just trying to think of that one 70s show about the family, and like their super would come in.
One day at a time.
One day at a time. They brought that back.
Yep. They're bringing back Party Down.
Yeah, sure.
They're bringing back Frasier, as I said. They're bringing back The Real World. They did that already. iCarly is apparently going to come back. There's True Blood is rumored to be possibly coming back with the reboot. Dexter is coming back. That's no bullshit. The Proud Family is coming back. Punk'd is coming back under Chance the Rapper as the new host of that one. And of course, we saw the Saved by the Bell already. So just so many of these shows coming back. And Small Wonder came back. No, not Small Wonder. What is it? The Punky Brewster with What's Her Face.
Yeah. So I was say Small Wonder. When did that come back? That was a paper thin premise in the 80s.
That's right. Trance. My great grandmother is probably excited.
She probably is, but she was a huge Night Court fan. I mean, Marshall Warfield is still around. Let's see if we bring her back.
Sure, sure.
I believe the gentleman that played Bull has passed away.
Richard Mole, yes.
Richard Mole, there you go. I believe he's passed away. What's her name? She's got a ridiculous name. She was
Marky Post.
Marky Post.
Yeah.
I wonder if I'll get her
around.
I believe she's still around.
Yeah, I feel like she's still kicking. She was great. I had a thing for her, man. She was cute on the show.
Oh yeah, she was at the height of her powers, so to speak.
Yep, still working. Did a film in 2019, Christmas Reservations. I'm gonna assume that's a Lifetime movie. Christmas Lifetime movie.
Oh, dude, around Christmas time, I was on Netflix, and the sheer number of Christmas movies that they make, where it's she's a successful dentist, but moves to a small town, and he's a lumberjack and teaches her, and they're like, "What the?" That's one, and there's 100, of the same premise over and over and over again. I don't know. I mean, I guess they're just cheap and easy to make. A friend of mine,
it's a factory.
It is a factory. A friend of mine, so he's a screenwriter, and he was like in a lull. So he wrote a movie specifically for Lifetime, and he went and watched like 20 Lifetime and just stole the formula of, whatever, the outline of every one of these, and then just cobbled together the greatest hits from all 20 of them. And Lifetime bought the script, and they're like, "This is perfect." And he's like, "I just took all the ideas that you're already putting up." And I was like, "Oh, that's a great idea." Just, it's a factory. So
yeah. I have two friends, or I have a friend who's shot 2 of those movies. She's an up and coming director, and she shot a couple of those films. She's pretty proud of it. But it's I guess it's good on the resume. You get experience working on a set quick. Because those things are like we said, is a factory, so they got to get them done. But yeah, they are way out there, man, and certain people like them. Certain people like them, I know, because they wouldn't make them if people didn't watch them in large numbers. That's for sure.
Yeah. Middle-aged women.
Yeah, it's like 20. I think there was 20 of them last year, man, out of Lifetime. Crazy.
I was baffled that there's that many and there's that much of a demand.
Yeah.
But, at the same time, like, I don't know, maybe it's like 5 per year, and they just Netflix owns the rights to a bunch of them, whatnot, and they've got the previous 10 years worth of. But at the same time, that's not made for you or I. So it flies under the radar until we're kind of hit in the face with it. Yeah. You're like, oh, wow. There's an entire cornucopia of these movies that I didn't even know existed.
Yeah, true. Good point, for sure.
Yeah.
But we are not going to be counting now the top 10 Lifetime Christmas movies on the show, although maybe one day.
Maybe. I don't know if I've ever seen a Lifetime movie.
Really? Well, you've seen The Blind Side. That's essentially a Lifetime movie.
Well, essentially and actually are 2 different things.
I guess so.
And if that's the best Lifetime ever has to offer, that movie's, mediocre. It's fine.
Green Book. That's another Lifetime movie. Yeah, for sure. But today we're counting down the top 10 films about fighting, and we've run the gamut. We said could be boxing, could be MMA, could be martial arts, whatever we want to do. So there were a lot to choose from. Obviously, a lot of classics, a lot of newer ones, a lot of ones kind of in between both. So we're definitely gonna get into that. And who did someone suggest this, or was something off of we saw on IMDb?
No, it was something off of upcoming. Because we sat down and went through the upcoming release schedule.
Oh yeah,
and there was some sort of fighting movie, and we were just like, hey, what about the generic just fighting, and then we can do any of these. But I for the life of me could not tell you what it was based upon.
I think it's American Fighter. is what is coming out next. In this gritty action tale, a young wrestler competes in the world of underground fighting to raise money for his ailing mother.
Okay.
Sean Patrick Flannery is in this one. Wow. All right.
Where do I know Sean Patrick Flannery from?
Powder.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. I
haven't seen him in a minute.
Yeah. Boondock Saints. He's in the Boondock Saints.
Yeah. That's a strike against. I don't understand the people that like that movie.
Yeah, people worship that movie too.
Oh, yeah. Baffles me. I got a friend that's one of his favorite movies of all time. Yeah. I don't understand how that's even remotely possible. I mean, is he a bit of a meathead? Yeah, he's one of those, he's got a heart of gold. He's a really sweet guy. But, he's got this, well, he used to wear this like affliction style Boondock Saints shirt that he would wear. And you're like, dude, that is as gaudy as the movie itself. I don't understand the love of that. And then I think the documentary about it is fascinating.
Agreed.
But the movie itself is just atrocious.
Well, speaking of Christmas movies, Sean Patrick Flannery has a Christmas movie coming. It's called All I Want, as a iPhone type font. All I Want for Christmas. A young girl stumbles upon a Christmas caper involving a fleet of small robots that might not be the toys that they seen, while helping several friends get Santa's attention for putting them on the naughty list. There you go, Sean Patrick Flannery. Yeah.
I mean, at least that's an interesting and unique idea. It's like Small Soldiers Christmas style.
Oh yeah, that's what it actually feels like. Yeah, good point.
As opposed to the cookie cutter of the others we were discussing before. But yeah, so we were just like fighting movies. Why not? Let's, and I will say this. So full disclosure, I feel like shit today because I had my second shot and it's no bueno. So I just made my list of movies that I would watch today. I've ordered them out.
I like it.
Of like, this is what I am in the mood for today. Yeah. And that's it. That's how I made my list because my brain is pretty mush.
Yeah.
So I was just like, that's how I'm going to order my list. People are going to take offense at some of the placements, but I don't care today. Yeah. This is fine. I'm going to go back to lying down once we are done recording and hypothetically watch one of these. I don't know.
I respect it. I had my shot on Tuesday. Wednesday was a fucking mess. And today I'm much better as we're recording this. So I totally get it, man. It hit me around 7 p.m. on Tuesday after I'd gotten the shot at 11:30. It is no joke. It is no joke.
Yeah.
So it will take you down, but it'll go once it goes through you, man. It'll almost be like overnight. You're going to feel better. And you'll be fine. But yeah, it's no joke for a couple of days for sure. I canceled everything on those 2 days in terms of doing stuff for the channel because I was like, I can't. I had no condition, man, no condition at all.
Yeah.
So I respect
crazy nauseous the first night.
Yeah.
They ended up, by the toilet numerous times. You're like, this is brutal. It's worth it though. It's entirely worth it.
Yeah.
I'm happy to be suffering. Exactly. I'm protecting myself against something that sucks, and it helps me get back to any kind of normalcy, and I'm all for that.
Yeah.
So it is worth it.
It is. Well, let me help Matt out because I know Matt's under the weather a little bit. So I'll do the things. Ladies and gentlemen, this is how the show works. Each of us comes up with 10 nominees, 1 through 10 for this list. We count them down. We start. Matt starts with his 3. I start with my 3 from 10 through 7, and then 10 through 6, 10 through 8 rather, and then we go the next 2, 7 and 6, and then we go 1 apiece all the way up to number 1. Then we battle it out. I have a coin today from my side. We battle it out to combine things and play them out on the bongos and give you our final list. And once again, this is one that we. This is something that we're going to be doing every second and fourth Thursdays of the month for every month for our $10 and above patrons. You get to watch the show live. You get to know what the topic is live, and you get to comment on the side here. And Matt, do you want to address any of these comments? People are asking about the Warriors and the Lakers being 7-8 in the play-in tournament. Any comments on that, Matt Knost?
Well, I mean, technically the Lakers could still get out of it. They just, yeah, they need Dallas to lose and they need to win. It's still possible. I don't know who owns the tiebreaker though, if they end up with the same record. So I'd have to look up that.
I looked that up on ESPN this morning. Apparently, if the Blazers or the Mavericks go 0-2 and the Lakers go 2-0, they are automatically out of the play-in tournament and back up in the slot there. If they both go 0-2 and the Lakers go 2-0, the Lakers jump to 5. So pretty crazy to see it that close. So
I mean, we'll see. Lakers got a close win last night with no LeBron and AD, but simultaneously Portland in their last 10 games are 9-1. They have the number 1 offense in the league and the number 11 defense. So they're playing pretty good basketball right now.
Yes.
So I would be more focused on potentially Dallas. And technically, if you guys win your next game, then you knock us out and you've officially made the play-in game.
Hey-o.
But if you lose out your last 2 and we win ours, then you fall out. Although I don't see that happening. I don't think you have to really worry about that.
I can't believe we lost to the Hawks twice. It's really frustrating. When we had that game, the first game, we had them dead to rights with Russell if he just drove the lane.
I know that. I don't know why, because there's 4 seconds left on the shot clock and he had plenty of time. You're not a good 3-point shooter. Although that game he shot well, but
he did. I just think he wanted to. He wanted to break the record on the same night he won a game with a 3-pointer, which is what a lot of critics have always dinged him for. And instead, he should have drove the lane, tried to get contact, or tried to sneak in and get that 2-pointer to win it. So, it cost us position though, which is frustrating. So whatever, we'll see what happens because we might end up playing the Hawks in the playoffs down the road if we handle business in the play-in tournament. So
they got a lot of firepower.
Yeah, they do, man. I hate it. Anyway, all right. So we're gonna get into this thing and count down our top 10 movies about fighting. Matt Knost, please take it away.
So the only thing I tried to do for the movies I chose, I didn't want any guns or since we including boxing and whatnot, I wanted like some sort of sanctioned fight within it.
Yes.
That's what I was going for. So something like somebody in the comments asked about The Raid. The Raid does not make my list because there's guns and there's, whatever else. And I was looking for sanctioned fighting within it. That's what I was kind of hedging towards. So that's the only thing I did for my list. All right. So at 10, I've got Southpaw.
Oh, nice choice. Okay, cool. Go ahead, my man.
As we've discussed in the past, I think the first third of the movie is atrocious, but the final 2/3 is magnificent. The relationship that he has with his daughter is flat out amazing. And it's part of this run for Gyllenhaal where he's got this and he's got Nightcrawler and he just kept forming himself and doing these completely different parts of bringing to life characters that are unique. And it's impressive. It's, it vaults him from an actor who I found interesting to somebody who I think is really excellent at their job.
Yeah.
And it's always cool when you see an actor do that. They, make a gear shift. And Southpaw, if you took out that first third, I think that movie is pretty fan, or at least cleaned up. The wife can still die, but we don't need it for the circumstances that happened there because there's no payoff in the end. So why not make it like a car crash?
Yeah.
And same outcome. He is destroyed. We don't have all the nonsense of him trying to like a meeting with the cops and there's no resolution to that. And the other fight, or whatever. But I think the second 2/3 or the 2/3 of that movie, the second half of it, is really excellent and great acting from him and the young actress. I don't know. I like the storyline of him having to basically humble himself and to retrain and to climb his way back up into contention. And the reality of he's outspending what he's making. So if that money dries up, he ends up, in the situation he's at. It seems a little far-fetched on some level because he would have assets to sell and whatnot unless he was leveraged to the hilt. And anyway, but I think Southpaw is if you can get through the absurdity of a bunch of things that happen in the first, 25-30% of the movie, I think that the rest of it is excellent.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you. I like the movie, even with the dings that you rightly point out, for sure. But the acting between Gyllenhaal and Forrest Whitaker, the connection they have throughout the movie is really what sells it. And especially when stuff happens to Forrest Whitaker, he's been given the advice through most of the movie. Once he gets hooked up with Gyllenhaal after all the stuff that happens with his wife, he's the one giving him the advice, kind of bringing him back to life. But then there's this moment that happens to Forrest Whitaker where Jake Gyllenhaal's character gets to kind of give some advice himself to help Forrest Whitaker out. That's kind of rarity. Usually it's the trainer just kind of guiding the boxer to the top. It's rare when the boxer ends up helping the trainer as well within the same movie. So I enjoyed that very, very much, in the relationship with his daughter, and the stuff with Naomi Harris as well, like the small parts that she gets, you get to enjoy her work. But yeah, I mean, it's just as Jake, like full on, just absolutely bonkers crazy in some moments, but then you also feel sympathy for him because he's not that smart. He was never educated, never trained. And a lot of boxers get into this business, and they aren't that smart. They aren't that educated. They don't have a good team behind them, and they get effed over in the end, by promoters who are smarter or lawyers or whatever. So it's just like that kind of situation. I like that they highlighted that overall.
Yeah. He grew up in an orphanage. In New York, and turned to fighting instead of education. Yeah. So it makes sense that he's not the brightest bulb. Right. But he has a good heart, ultimately.
He cares for his daughter very much. And he has to realize that he can't trade in on his anger if he wants to achieve what he wants to achieve in terms of his relationship with his daughter, but also to move on with his life. So it's a tough lesson for people who are, trained from young age to fight back, to fight for your place in life. It's hard to kind of turn that off and understand that you don't need that in every situation. So, what's your 9, man?
My 9 is it's a stretch for fighting, so to speak, but you'll see in a second. Okay. Beyond the Mat, the documentary.
Oh, that's a great choice. Yeah, go ahead, man.
Okay, so it's about wrestlers. Mick Foley and Jake the Snake are the two focuses of the documentary itself, but it's a fascinating peek behind the curtain of what they go through. And it's a side of wrestling that up until that point, I never got to see. And I'd stopped watching wrestling long before, but it's still wildly popular and whatnot. And to see these individuals in a new light and the pitfalls of existing in that world. And then, I was lucky enough to get to meet and know a little bit Roddy Piper.
Oh yeah,
before he died, and to hear him tell stories of what it was like, when he first started in the wrestling world. Yeah, and it's just a fascinating, subset of entertainment that you don't ever really shine a light on. Now it's different now because they have the television shows and pay-per-view events, and the pay-per-view doesn't really exist anymore, right? That's all now part of a streaming service that.
Yeah, with the WWE, yes. Yeah, it's on Peacock now. Yeah.
But it took somebody I didn't know, Mick Foley, and really humanized an individual that played, this mankind kind of inhuman individual that was there, Undertaker style. Like I can't tell, what his deal is, and to see the turmoil that it causes on his family, like his kids watching the fights and seeing him, get beat up and whatnot, and have to come back and be like, Daddy's fine, like everything's okay. And I don't know, I just found it really interesting. And then the Jake the Snake, man, that is a dark, deep abyss. That dude has stories that he did not tell that I don't even want to hear, because it is dark.
And that's why there's the documentary on Jake the Snake that came out a few years after Beyond the Mat is fantastic, and people should watch it because it shows his ascension out of that dark hole through the DDP, through DDP yoga, and being and living at DDP's house. Yeah, him and Scott Hall kind of overcoming their addictions to drugs and their self-destructive impulses and their suicidal thoughts and mental health issues, and being kind of taken out of those places by DDP, doing the Lord's work really for a lot of people. So it's true. That's such a great time capsule, Beyond the Mat, because it's also The Rock before he's really The Rock.
True.
And you also get Spike Dudley, which is really interesting, the smaller of all the Dudleys. And he's like talking about Shakespeare and that he teaches at English at a middle school or something like that. And it's like, yeah, I just do the wrestling on the side and then do a real job in the daytime, because at the time, Spike's not a big, making like Rock money or Stone Cold money. So he's got to do what he can to pay his bills, and he does this on the side because he loves it. So it's a great window into this idea that, these guys are just like, mindless brutes who go and do this thing for fun. They're actually a lot more intelligent than you think and a lot more aware of the world than you think. So
yeah, they're multifaceted as opposed to the meathead idiots you assume.
Yeah, exactly.
Just the roided out type of
right.
Anyway,
and not that there aren't guys like that.
Yeah, exactly.
This wanted to break that stigma that they're all like that. All right, what's your 8?
My 8, once again, this is movies that I would watch today.
Okay. Yes. Right.
Is Raging Bull.
Oh, nice choice. You would watch Raging Bull today in the condition that you're in. Respect.
Well, it's a fighting movie. It's it's an all timer, but at the same time, it's like I don't know if I can muster the energy to watch Raging Bull today. So that's why it ends up lower on my list. Is it not on yours?
No, it's not on mine. No. I kind of went, and I'll tell you why when we get to my list. Yeah, but go ahead.
A nice peek.
Yeah.
At the life of Jake LaMotta and how self-destructive he was. And those around him that cared most about him, with Joe Pesci as his brother, and just completely suspect of him when he feels that, horning in on his girl. And it's like, what are you talking about? And just the paranoia that he exists in, and ultimately where he ends up of this kind of sad shell of his former self, wanting to be a lounge singer, life of the party. So he has his own place type of thing. And it's this rise and fall. It's really fascinating to watch. But it's a heavy movie, and that's why it ends up at 8. I'm not sure today that I could make it through. And in reality, it would probably be the last movie I could watch today, but that putting it at 10 felt a little too low, even though 8's not far off. So, Raging Bull is an excellent movie. I love the choice of the black and white to harken back to an earlier time in boxing.
Definitely.
Great choices all around, from Scorsese, De Niro, Pesci, but Kathy Moriarty.
Yeah.
Just an excellent movie, but I'm pretty sure we've talked about it a number of times. So
we have. Mason Sasser says, I have yet to see Raging Bull because every time people talk about it, it just sounds like a brutal experience. That's true, but that's film. But the brutal experience is, as we spoke about Jake the Snake just a few seconds ago, it's about a guy who turns to his anger and his fists to navigate the world, and what that costs him as he gets older, his marriage, his relationship with his brother, and how he has to really be humbled by the world and see and accept the humbling and change, and then try to ask for forgiveness later on in life from all the people that he damaged and he hurt. So as brutal as it may be, it's also a very powerful lesson about how you can't walk through the world with rage or anger being your reaction to everything, and so
true.
It's really well done. That's that scene in the jail when he's punching the wall.
Yeah.
And you find out that was actually De Niro punching the wall. So when he's crying, he's like legitimately crying from the pain that he put himself through. It's just like, whoa, man. So, yeah. So, all right. So that's your 8, right?
Yep.
All right. So approaching my list, I wanted to do films that we hadn't talked about, mixed in with some that we had, but also some kind of unusual choices. So I just had a little fun with this list, because you could go, it could go standard stuff. But I wanted to throw some fun ones up there. And one that recently came into my purview again, which I hadn't thought about in a very long time, is the original Gladiator, not the one that Russell Crowe did.
Oh, Cuba?
Yeah, the one with Cuba Gooding Jr.
Good choice, yeah.
Marshall.
Dennehy.
Yeah, Dennehy. Yeah, it's been a long time, but we were having a random conversation with some friends of mine on text the other day, and that movie came up, and I just watched like an hour of it, and I was like, this is still damn good. This still holds up for what it is, and it's certainly a time capsule of early 90s films and high school, and it's a low budget film. But I mean, you've got Ozzie Davis up in here being the cut man, and it's basically about this white kid who goes into this inner city place and has to kind of navigate the politics of the inner city as it gets involved in this underground fighting ring because he's a trained boxer. He's got to make money, and all he confronts and the relationship he develops, the friendship with Cuba Gooding Jr., and then the corruption of Brian Dennehy. And I remember that it leads to this confrontation between him and Brian Dennehy, and that moment where Dennehy is slamming his head into his fist. I never knew that that's something you could do to kind of counter someone punching you, is to time your headbutt to their fist. So it essentially
breaks their hand.
It breaks their hand, or it stops their motion and sends the punches vibration through them instead of putting it through the person they're punching. So some really interesting moments in the film, but overall, just really enjoyed that as a time capsule film, and a film that deserves a little more conversation about it when people talk about fighting films. So yeah,
it's a good choice. I haven't seen it in so long, but I still remember the Dennehy fighting, and doing the head bob.
Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly.
Breaking the guy's breaking the guy's hand and whatnot. But good choice.
Yeah. And Cara Buono is the love interest, and she's the mom in Stranger Things. The other mom, not Winona Ryder. She's the other mom in Stranger Things. So still working, Cara Buono. So, and Cuba Gooding. And this is Cuba Gooding before he becomes Jerry Maguire and all this kind of shit. He's kind of a badass in this movie. People need to go back and remember that Cuba can play a badass when he wants to play a badass. So just a reminder there for any of you who haven't seen it. All right. So then my number 9 is Kung Fu Hustle.
Okay. I haven't seen it. I've seen clips, but I've never seen it.
Oh, okay. Yeah, this is one that I go back to and watch because it's just so funny in terms of the martial arts. And look, I was tempted to put on like 35 martial arts movies, but like to me, I wanted to do something that we don't really talk about that much. And I thought Kung Fu Hustle was a great choice. The comedic approach to martial arts and the fantastical approach to martial arts, but also a storyline that kind of that had a little more darkness to it than you would expect. This kind of hardcore, vicious gang of martial artists that is trying to take over this whole town, and how they get beat back by the old school martial artists because of their kind of more elemental approach to the craft. So and in between is the main guy. I forget his name. The main guy does all these movies, but in between is him trying to figure out what side of the fence he needs to be on. And he's just kind of a coward through most of it, but it's played for laughs and it's very funny. And the fighting sequences are stellar in their design, almost Busby Berkeley-esque in their design when the larger shots are taken. But overall, just an enjoyable, funny film from that guy. Sorry, I don't remember his name, but he's done a few of these films overall. Stephen Chow. That's it. Stephen Chow. So yeah, if you haven't seen Kung Fu Hustle, and Matt, you said you haven't, I recommend it. It's good. He does a lot of nice work. Okay, and then my number 8 is the Jean-Claude Van Damme masterpiece, Bloodsport. I don't know if that's on your list.
That's called a punt, my friend.
It's a punt. Fantastic.
That's a punt.
All right, let's go to your 7, bro.
7 is $1 Million Baby.
Yeah. Oh, nice choice. Let me see if I've got that on my list. No, I left that one off, but please go ahead.
Okay. Yeah, just what's interesting, and I've said this in the past, but it actually taught me things about boxing that I didn't know after having watched the sport for a long time, but just like subtle little things of shifting your weight on the ball of your foot as you snap your jab type of things. You're like, oh, that's interesting. So just to learn the mechanics and the physiology of what you're doing. On top of it, I resisted seeing the movie for a while because I thought it just get overhyped, and Clint always gets his due come Oscar time. Doesn't matter how good or bad the movie is, or average the movie is, I guess. And then once I finally saw it, I was like, oh, I was wrong. I shouldn't have held off having seen this. You get a great performance from him, Hilary Swank, Morgan Freeman.
Yeah.
But the bond that they have, you know, at the end when he does what he does, like you feel it almost as much as his character does.
Yeah.
See like the shittiness of her family that just look at her as a cash cow as opposed to an actual human who's now suffering through a terrible, you know, change in her life. And she feels as, I guess, understandably so, that her life is over. Yeah. It's just difficult to deal with, but the build throughout as she kind of proves her bona fides, because she initially comes to him and was like, I want to fight. I want you to train me. And he's just like, whatever. Like, I'm not dealing with your nonsense. And the bond that they slowly create over time, and then ultimately what happens between the two of them, it's just the resolution, the payoff of that is so impactful that that's why I included it on my list.
Yeah, the only reason I put it on my list is because the fight scenes aren't that long. She knocks people out in like the first round through most of the movie. So for me, I was like, if I want to focus on the fighting, I want to see some more of the fighting itself overall. So in the end, that's why I didn't put it on. But she's absolutely right. It's a fucking great film, man. It was great revisiting it recently again and just kind of going through it and seeing how many damn good actors are in there in small roles. You know, Michael Pena, Anthony Mackie, Jay Baruchel are all in that gym with him. And of course, Morgan doing his thing with Clint, like Unforgiven. It's great to see. And you know, dude, we all forget about Hilary Swank, dude. Still 2-time Oscar winner, and she can't get a lead to save her life. And I saw her in she had that space movie on Netflix, and no one saw it. So it's just like it's a weird situation. And she's so goddamn talented, and she's great in this movie, man. She is heartbreakingly awesome in this movie. So by the end, when she does what she does, you're just like devastated by the decision. And yeah, her family is, you know, a bunch of trash. And you know, Margot Martindale just doing a great job there. It's just the biggest piece of trash, dude.
Just terrible.
All right, what's your 6?
My 6 is Karate Kid.
Oh, it made it. It made it. Hold on. Got to give some love to Matthew Simmons, who said, give me Karate Kid or give me death. I like it. I like it.
Well, there you go, Mr. Simmons. I agree. There is, you know, a lot of fighting throughout.
Yeah.
But a movie that I flat out loved as a kid. I still enjoy it, but it was so huge when I was a kid. Saw this thing a million times. Did the crane kick thing with my friends.
Right.
You know, started my love affair with Elizabeth Shue. And she, you know, went on. Now she's been working pretty steadily for the next 30 some odd years.
Oh yeah. That's her thing. Absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, the first one is so good that I was excited to see the second one, saw it in the theater. And the third one. I didn't see it in the theater, but I did see it eventually.
Yeah.
And I saw the remake with Jackie Chan and Jaden Smith.
Ooh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, it's got. No, I didn't see the remake in the theater. I saw it once it came out on some streaming platform or whatever the case is. But I did eventually see it. Thought it was good. Thought it was all right. Like basically creating a Karate Kid for a new generation.
Totally.
But yeah, just you know, I moved a lot as a kid. So the idea of moving to a new town and trying to fit in and understand the dynamics and the hierarchy within the social settings of that new city is something that I could identify with and understand. And to see LaRusso come from a completely different existence on the East Coast all the way out here to the West, and then trying to fit in and not really understanding exactly how things, you know, the lay of the land here, so to speak. And I like the bond that he has with Miyagi. This paternal kind of influence within his life, and the interplay between those two actors. They really created some great chemistry.
For sure. For sure.
I've actually seen pictures of where that house is now. Miyagi's house.
Right.
But it was somewhere online. I saw, you know, during quarantine. I was like, oh, never thought about that. That does exist out here somewhere. But yeah, it's, you know, you have all the fighting. You do have the Valley tournament on top of the fighting that he gets into with the kids.
Yeah.
In and around school and at events and stuff like that. And how often has Karate Kid come up on a list? So I figured, why not?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, great choice. I mean, a lot of people love Karate Kid, and so it's a great choice for sure. Yeah, I mean, what can you say? And the Cobra Kai series, if you haven't watched it, I mean, getting to revisit Daniel LaRusso, it kind of washes out Karate Kid 3 from your brain, and you can just focus on the situation with him and Johnny Lawrence. Yeah, there are some cheesy moments, of course, because they're trying to appeal to young adults. But overall, I think it's pretty good. And, almost everybody who's alive has come back, either for an episode or two or for a whole series long arc. So that was nice to see in that series. And there's rumors that Hilary Swank might come in the next season. And they're already talking to the bad dude from Karate Kid 3, Thomas Ian Griffith. They're already talking to him to come back to reprise his role in this whole situation. So season 4 could be quite interesting on a number of levels for sure. But yeah, Karate Kid's great. Such a classic, 1984. Same guy who did Rocky, same director who did Rocky. So you got to give it up.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah,
oh,
John G.
That's interesting.
Yeah. So got to give it up to him for sure. All right. And that was your 6?
That is my 6.
Okay. So then my 7 is one of my favorite Jet Li movies that nobody seems to talk about, called Unleashed.
Oh, sure.
Yeah. The fighting scenes in that movie are absolutely excellent. And it all basically is this Bob Hoskins is this gangster who kills Jet Li's mom when he's a young kid. They find him hiding under the bed. They take him in and they essentially turn him into a pit bull, a fighting dog.
Yeah.
So much so that he is conditioned that when they put a collar on him, that he is docile and is yanked around by the collar like a dog. And when they take the collar off and they put him in the pit, he fights. And this one has a little more how can I say, a little more of a humanist point of view to it, because he ends up stumbling. One of these moments where he escapes after a car accident, he ends up stumbling into this, I think, church or into this place. And it's the blind girl who's from Rome. She teaches him how to kind of be a part of the world a little bit. Morgan Freeman is there as well. Oh no, Morgan Freeman's the blind one. She's not blind. Morgan Freeman's blind. And they kind of teach him how to kind of come back into the world. But then Bob Hoskins finds him. And so he has to kind of battle between going back to this world of being a fighter and breaking out of this world and kind of embracing a possible new life. So it's pretty awesome. But the fight sequences in the pit, in the concrete pit, are badass and pretty brutal. So, and the whole film has this kind of like bluish hue to it throughout. And I think it's a film that nobody talks about that much. And yet I think it's probably the best Jet Li film he's done stateside, in my opinion. So, yeah.
Well, yeah, once you qualify states, because I haven't seen some of the Chinese films.
Yeah.
Like The One or Once Upon a Time in China. I've never seen either of those. But I have seen Unleashed. It is good. Bob Hoskins playing a heavy again is... It's crazy that he can go from that to Shmi.
Yeah, right.
But I mean, he plays such an amazing heavy.
Yeah.
That you believe is just the guy from the gutters type of individual. And I had forgotten that Morgan Freeman was in it as the blind guy.
Yeah.
It's been a minute since I've seen that one. That's a good movie.
And the girl is obviously, you said, from Rome. She's the voice in the MCU. Once Jarvis becomes Vision, she's the voice that takes over in Tony's head. So,
what's her name? Polly something?
Oh, is it Paul? Yeah. Oh, the actress's name?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. What is her name? I think Polly is the mom in Rome.
Yeah, it's not her. Who is it in Rome?
Let me see.
Which actress?
Yeah, Carrie Condon. Polly Walker is the mom of the girl. Carrie, I think it's Carrie. Yeah, Carrie. Let me see here. Yeah, Carrie Condon. That's her name. Yeah, she plays Friday. She's been in Better Call Saul apparently for the last 5 years. So
I need to catch up on that.
Yeah, and Ray Donovan. Oh, I forget she's in Ray Donovan. That's right. Yeah. All right. So where are we at there? What number are we at? Oh yeah. So we're up to my number 6. So my 6 is, and this is only because it's not higher, only because like I kind of like the other films more. I watch them more, but my 6 is Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon.
Okay, sure.
Yeah, just a really magical film from Ang Lee. I love the fight sequences here with Chow Yun-fat. I love the mysticism of it all, and the fight sequences with Michelle Yeoh as well. Oh God, who's the girl? Who's the main girl? This is bad. My brain is such mush right now. Oh gosh, I should have pulled it up ahead of time. Yeah, Chow Yun-fat, Michelle Yeoh. Oh yeah, Ziyi Zhang. Ji Yang, that she plays the young girl who's the center of all of this. But there are a lot of cool fight sequences with swords, with martial arts, you know, the trees swinging down, flying down, all that kind of the Wong Kar-wai stuff is my kind of stuff. So I enjoyed the film a lot. Still want to go back to the sequel was didn't have the same magic, but I think it's still a damn good film to go back to and revisit. It's been 21 years since that film came out, and I saw it like last year again, and it's stellar.
Really?
Absolutely stellar. Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't watched it since I originally saw it. So I remember liking it, but it didn't captivate me the way it did others.
Yeah.
But it's a beautiful film.
That's for sure. And I did, because you fight. The reason I put it on the list is because it's got so many fight sequences, right? And so many different types of fighting.
Yeah.
You got the swords, you've got the stars, you know, and then you've got the pole, and you've got the girl that fights like she's fighting with spider's web type thing, like with the sashes and stuff is pretty cool. The fox, whatever her name is. And then of course, all the stuff with actually hand-to-hand martial arts that pops up as well. But this whole story of like unrequited love between Chow Yun-fat and Michelle Yeoh is so powerfully laid out as well as a subtext throughout the film. Okay, let's jump into our top 5s, man. What's your 5?
My 5 is When We Were Kings. Second.
Good choice. Fuck, I should have put that on my list. That's a great choice. All right, go ahead, man.
It's one of the best sports documentaries that you're ever going to find. Yeah, it's a fascinating look at one of the most pivotal sports events of the 70s. And you know, it's about the Rumble in the Jungle, with Ali and Foreman, and all the behind the scenes of everything that they were going through and the turmoil in their lives, and then once they get to the country and all the nonsense that is going on there between promoters and the local populace. And it's just a fascinating glimpse at this huge cultural event that happened before, you know, I was born, but it loomed large in my imagination and always has. It's you have the classic of Rumble in the Jungle, but then you have Rope-a-Dope. Two things from this that have always existed for me within the vernacular terminology of boxing.
Yeah.
But to get a glimpse of a better idea of who Ali was is pretty fascinating, and it really helps you understand why he was such a captivating figure and so beloved.
Yeah.
In this kind of larger than life persona. And how, like, it's amazing how he manages to get the entire populace to join on his side when there is a massive language barrier.
Yeah.
You know, we way back when in the Schmodown, we did the top 10 Boomaye.
Yeah.
It comes from Ali finding out, Boomaye, and just started doing that during his jogs or whatnot, and became an anthem and a battle cry of the local populace as they sided with Ali, and how he's turning this almost entire nation against Foreman.
Yeah, great point.
Yeah. On top of at home, the division of who you thought was going to win.
Right.
Came down to, in some circles, a political divide of the radical Ali, and you don't side with his politics or his religion or whatever the case is.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just a fascinating documentary and thoroughly recommended. As do you.
Yeah, 1,000% I do. And it's they did a Criterion collection for it. So if you guys really love the documentary, you want to dive into it, there's so many awesome special features throughout that Criterion that you can enjoy the movie even more and enjoy what was going on. I think they include the entire concert that gets used throughout the film. Yeah, with B.B. King and James Brown, and I think the Temptations were down there. Like everybody that was down there, they include all that stuff on there. So if you really want to dive in, that's the one to get. But yes, just the documentary itself is brilliant alone, from George Plimpton and Norman Mailer talking about what their experiences were. Thomas Hauser, who is the big biographer for Ali for a number of years, all of them explaining, putting you in the mindset of what was going on at the time, and then, showing you how this all came about. And Matt, it's almost bittersweet because you see Ali at the height of his powers as a human being. And like, if he had just quit after that fight, who knows how his life could have gone? Who knows if he'd have become a senator, possibly president? It was all in play for sure, because he was such a guy who took powerful stances on the social justice side of things, and would have been a phenomenal leader as we go into the late 70s and 80s. What would have been his impact as a leader politically? It would have been fascinating to see, but he couldn't let go, of the boxing thing, and wanted to keep proving himself, and eventually bit him in the ass, and I think he's a test case for, or what do they call that? A cautionary tale for a lot of people who get into boxing. Like, get to that point, win the titles. Once you start to feel that end happening, just run on out. We interviewed Lennox Lewis a while ago, you and I, and very well-spoken guy, on top of things. Great to converse with him. But what if he had stayed in longer, past his prime? Who knows how he would have ended up,
Yeah, ended up punch drunk or something.
Yeah, like Tyson. Like, Tyson got out just at the right time, and him coming back for those exhibition matches, they are what they are, but he's still somewhat, on top of things. So, but yeah, an incredible documentary. That's a great slice of that time period in our world for sure. Okay, so then my 5 is Rocky IV. Rocky IV.
That is a punt.
All right, what's your 4, man?
My 4 is Cinderella Man.
Oh, nice, dude. Nice choice. Yeah, I usually would have put it on there, but like I said, trying to highlight other ones. But yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. I wish I had the brain power to
please
don't get beyond just the cursory examples that I have. But I actually rewatched it not long ago, and still just as good. I think. I think what people may ding it for is, you don't really see glimpses of the boxing or who Braddock was, or why we should know this individual, because we have to basically set the stage for the Great Depression and how that has humbled him as the nation. At one point in the movie that he's down at the docks trying to get a job, and he walks over a newspaper, and Ron Howard cuts to the newspaper, and record high unemployment at 15 million people.
Yeah.
They just give you a glimpse of what the nation was going through, and talk about the Hoovervilles in Central Park, and just the general decline of the country.
Yeah.
And then the eventual build, and you go look up afterwards, he takes on Max Baer to win the championship. Spoiler. But Max Baer, basically got out of boxing on some level after that.
Yeah.
And you would think that, given how brash he was, that he would have, he killed minimum 1, but I think 2 men in the ring. He was a brute of an individual. Now, eventually he got into a little bit of acting, did a little this, little that. And then his son became a fairly famous actor.
Yeah.
Jethro on the Beverly Hillbillies.
Right. That's right.
But I think it's the build. I appreciate the fact that you have to lay the groundwork for how the Great Depression really devastated all these individuals, and what it meant to see someone go from bread lines and public assistance to becoming the champion, the world champion, and held it for 2 years. And they have a quote at the end saying that he eventually loses to Joe Louis, but Joe Louis says that he was one of the best fighters he ever took on.
Yeah.
this guy, some Irish guy from New Jersey, and whether or not it's true, working down at the docks, he broke his right hand when he took a match when he wasn't fully healthy, and he could only use his left. So then we started boxing again, legitimately. Suddenly his left had a pop that it never had before, and he still had his stellar right. And it was the combination of those two things now. But it's kind of crazy that it didn't do well at the box office, because it's a perfect type of Americana movie. Underdog strives, becomes world champion, from the most destitute state to the greatest in the world. How it didn't do better, I don't know. Plus, it was in that Russell Crowe run of this guy gets nominated for an Oscar every year.
I don't know. I think it's period piece boxing movies, man. I mean, they're tough to get people into the theater for whatever reason. I mean, sports is already kind of a niche thing in terms of movies, right? And so it's like you start to add boxing in and make it even more niche. So like, is this a story that people knew? And do they want to go back to Depression era times? I just don't know that a lot of people run out to see those kinds of movies. But sadly, they missed out on a fantastic one. And I agree with you, Matt. It holds up today as much as it held up in the past. And I've even grown to appreciate Reese Witherspoon. Renee
Zellweger.
Renee Zellweger's performance even more so as the years have gone on, because sometimes I've kind of dinged her a little bit as I watched the movie, but she's actually kind of, fighting for her kids and doesn't want her husband to get brain damage and doesn't want, she even knew like what the perils were. It's almost like an Adrian type thing. And when he's going to fight Drago, like, you can't win, Rock. It's that fear that your significant partner has, and rightfully so, because anything can happen. And do you want to be taking care of a bunch of kids and a punch drunk husband during the Depression? That's a hell of a thing to add on to a person and put pressure on them. So luckily things worked out the way they did. And of course you see the post film, text that comes up, tells you what happened with him. And it was great to see, but it's a fantastically well-directed film. The fight sequences are well done. And yes, Max Baer has turned into a stereotypical villain, which is unfortunate, but Craig Bierko does an incredible job.
Yeah, he does.
Of instilling menace in Max Baer in a way that really does kind of shake you up a little bit before the fight happens. And his punches look brutal, Matt, when you're watching that final fight. Ooh.
Yeah. I mean, it looks like a style of boxing that doesn't exist anymore, because he holds the dude's chin with his left and then just boom. Yeah. And they're not making that up. I'm sure there's stock footage where you can find that. And just like, that's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Just pummeling men.
Yeah. And Giamatti is fantastic in it as well.
Yeah.
Of course. Yeah. We've talked about his top 10 recently. All right. So then where are we at? My 4?
Yeah.
My 4 is The Raid. Is that a punt as well?
No, I didn't. I was looking for sanctioned fights. Like,
oh, that's right. You said that at the beginning.
Yeah. So I didn't include the raid. Anything that's got like guns and all that stuff. I just kept off as a way to winnow down the choices.
Fair point. I'll just roll through it real quick because we talked about it numerous times on the show.
Yeah.
I just love the fight sequences. You're right. The gun stuff I can do without, but the actual one-on-one or one-on-two fight sequences are just so unforgettable and stellar. And I prefer this one over Redemption. But that's why I put is it Raid Redemption the first one, or is it the sequel?
Yeah, the Raid Redemption is the first one, and the Raid 2, I don't know what the second part of that title is.
Okay, all right. So Raid Redemption is the one I prefer. I think it's a tighter story.
Yeah, me too.
I think it's a more interesting story, and so they have all the different ways they fight, the different levels of the apartment building are stellar, just stellar. So that's why it's where it's at. What are you saying?
Yeah, no, it's awesome. That fight scene in the hallway where he takes on numerous guys.
Oh Lord.
I was laughing because the violence was so over the top. It was cartoonish and yet still somewhat believable. But when he takes the guy's head and he bangs it into the wall as the guy is falling downward, and he hits him like what seems like 20 times. It's like, I mean, I started laughing because I couldn't process the information any other way. It's amazing. But once again, it's an excellent choice.
Yeah.
Had Gareth I opened it up, the Raid would have made my list for sure.
Totally. I know it does. It's one of your favorites. Gareth Evans doing Gangs of London. So if you haven't seen Gangs of London, do yourself a favor. I think it's on the regular AMC now that you can like watch it on demand on your or free on your channels or your systems rather. And so watch it, because Gareth Evans, the way he directs fighting sequences is very unique and awesome, for sure. All right, what's your 3?
My 3 is Warrior.
All right, that's a punt.
Okay.
So I guess you know what happens there.
All right.
So my 3 is The Matrix.
Oh, great choice.
Yeah, you said, I know you said sanctioned fights, but this one is just, the fight sequences are stellar. I mean, and I don't mean fucking Fishburne and Keanu Reeves in the dojo. I'm talking about everything that goes on. Him and Hugo Weaving. I mean, it's hard to believe those two guys can deliver such an incredible martial arts fight, but they do multiple times throughout this movie. And of course, the opening sequence with Carrie-Anne Moss kicking the shit out of all those cops is pretty awesome. And the visuals of these fights are stellar. The overall green hue to it is so cool. The journey that Mr. Anderson, or that Keanu Reeves' character goes on, Neo goes on, is stellar. So the fight sequences are just incredible. And then you get to the bullet time stuff where he's dodging the bullets. Yeah, that adds even more elements to it. And then, of course, the final fight sequence with him and all the other agents. Just great stuff. Still holds up. Still a classic. Still a masterpiece of sci-fi, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, absolutely.
I mean, as we've discussed in the past, that movie is so good that I'm holding out hope for the 4th one.
Yeah, me too, Bo. Me too.
Because they captured so much magic in that it seems completely plausible that they could do it again, even though I'm not the biggest fan of 2 and 3.
Right.
3 especially.
Yeah.
But it's like, oh man, so many interesting ideas that you took from other influences and brought together in this. It's just magic.
Yep.
But yeah, the fight scenes are second to none. I just love the idea of being able to download into your head. I know now, like I know jujitsu. It's like, okay, show me. But within this world, it's like now I know how to do this.
Yeah.
It's such a great little plot device to be able to turn someone, an average Joe, into the best fighter in the world.
Yeah. Yeah. Agreed. All right. That was my 3. So what's your 2?
My deuce is Rocky 4.
Oh, nice. That's a punt. That was the punt from earlier.
Yeah.
Okay. Go ahead.
It's the best Rocky movie. It's even in you include the creeds, it's still the best Rocky movie.
Yep.
Hands down. We defeated communism.
We did
with that movie.
All came down only a couple of years later, a few years later.
Exactly. Do I think Stallone was on steroids in that, even though they're painting Drago as the steroid user? I don't know.
I don't get involved with that politics.
I don't know. But I just like that for where I'm at right now, there's only one other movie on this list that I would rather watch today, because I can completely check out and enjoy the living hell out of the movie overall.
Yeah.
Even the ridiculous speech at the end that is just perfect. It fits the movie to a T. If I can change, you can change.
We all can change.
We all, yeah. But honestly, you know what I do like about that is representative of the type of speech that he would give.
Yeah.
It's not going to be some Shakespearean eloquence. It's going to be some blue collar, rough-hewn, just simplistic terms.
This is what he's got, Matt. This is what he's got to deliver. And straight to the point. No flowery language.
But then the fight with Creed, when Creed is killed, and just brutal. The first time I saw that, but that final fight is, it's so over the top. It's fantastic.
Yeah, agreed. I put it to where I put just because these other films I just respect in a different way more than that one. And as cool as that speech is, it's pretty fucking cheesy. So
it's Cheese City.
I ding it for that. But the whole training montages, I was talking about this because I'm studying for an upcoming Rocky exhibition match in the Schmodown. And I've been talking with some people about it, been helping me study. And it's like, this is at the end of the day, as much as I love all the Rockies, this is the one I go back to and watch the most. And I probably know it from back to front the most because I've seen it so many times. It's got the best soundtrack in terms of actual songs, not the scores, because Bill Conti, of course, owns the Rocky series with his incredible work there. But also, you get kind of Stallone at the peak of being Rocky. You know, he's cleaned up. He's very much a guy who's embraced his, and gotten through his inner demons. And he's now kind of doling advice out to Apollo, who Apollo had pulled him out of this quagmire in Rocky 3 and got him back into a better frame of mind and a mindset to defeat Clubber Lang. Started Rocky 4. It's Apollo who's having trouble letting go of fighting again. And maybe even because he might have beat Rocky in that rematch that they had off the books in that gym. And maybe Apollo thought, well, if I can take on what was the heavyweight champion of the world before they stripped him of the belt, then or what is the heavyweight champion of the world, I guess, because it doesn't get stripped to Rocky 4, then I can take on Drago, a rookie Russian and what have you. And it's Rocky who's trying to stop him. It's Adrian is trying to stop him. Paulie's trying to stop him. But Rocky eventually gives in, and because he loves his friend so much, and then has to carry the guilt of his friend's death. Because I don't think it would have mattered if you had thrown in the towel. I think Drago would have caught the towel and threw it back out of the ring and killed Apollo anyway. And so when he's going through the training montages and everything like that, there's more determination, more reason. And this time he doesn't need Adrian, Matt. It's that secret. Like, she's like, you can't win. He's like, all right, I'm out of here. I'm going to go do it myself. I don't need you. Not like Rocky 3, where he couldn't train, or Rocky 2, where he couldn't train without her. In Rocky 4 is the first time where he's like, I got to do this for me. This is about me. This is not about you and me anymore. And if you don't want to believe in what I'm doing, that's fine. You live your life. I got to do this, whether you like it or not. And she eventually comes over and she's like, no matter what. So it's a unique Rocky film that kind of breaks the patterns of what we've seen before and has some of the best montages and a pretty damn good final fight, to be honest with you. So, yeah. Okay. So where are we at? My two, which is Kill Bill Volume 1.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, that just for the fight alone near the end with all those people there, but everything she does to kind of come back from the stuff that she had to endure, and then everything she goes through to kind of put herself back, the fights with Vernita Green in her house, the fight later on when she fights Orin Ishii after she's fought everybody. And it's an overall stellar fucking film. So that's why I put it on my list, because it's one I go back to all the time. I love her performance in the movie. And the fight sequences are so well done. And it's a great homage to the best of martial arts movies, done in a standard, or not standard, but done in an unusually awesome Quentin Tarantino way. So,
okay.
Yeah. So that's my number 2. Anything to say on that, or should we move on to your 1?
Yeah, I don't know.
It's not your thing.
I think Kill Bill is fine.
Okay.
Whereas I know quite a few people that is their favorite Tarantino, by leaps and bounds. And it's like, oh man, I would rather watch like 5 others of his before I watched Kill Bill.
Understood.
Yeah.
Understood.
But teach their own.
Yeah, of course. That's what the show's the show. All right. What do you got at number 1, brother?
On this list, the one that I would happily watch the most today was the punt from earlier, Bloodsport.
Oh, number 1.
Yep.
I love it. Go ahead, man.
Dude, Frank Dukes is a national hero. And
sure.
The Kumite, I would love to see the Kumite, wouldn't you?
Oh my God, yes. In real life?
Oh,
yes.
Yeah. Like you're just in Hong Kong and you get to go to this underground fighting tournament.
Oh, yeah.
That's hypothetically people could die in, whatnot. Yeah. And it's all these different fighters from around the world with different styles. I do love that. You see like completely different individuals over and over and over again.
Yeah.
How they stack up. There's, but it's the only Van Damme movie that I put on here because it's got all the sanctioned fighting within it. But I just, it's the movie I could watch right now, and I may put it on today.
I mean, sanctioned.
Yeah. But I mean, an actual like we're in a ring, you know, or on a fighting platform, I guess, so to speak.
Yeah.
And I don't know. It's just a classic to me. I love it. But it's clearly made for guys our age.
Oh, totally. I don't disagree with you, dude. It's a great fucking movie. Great fucking movie. And not, of course, not a, Godfather Part 2 or anything like that, but it's a great fucking movie for what it is. And,
exactly.
And yes, it's cheesy and it's all of that, but for whatever reason, and this is why he became a superstar, Van Damme's performance in that film, at least for a little while, Van Damme's performance in that film breaks through all the normal cheesiness. I mean, we've seen Jeff Speakman, we've seen so many, even Chuck Norris to a degree. We've seen these guys come through and have these moments, but even Seagal, but Van Damme is the one who has somehow found a way to parlay the early run of films into a career that's still going. The Jean-Claude Van Johnson show on Amazon Prime.
Did you watch that?
Yeah, I did actually. It's kind of funny. It's not bad.
I saw the first couple episodes. I was like, this, it's good. It doesn't really capture my attention. So
it's trading in on his charm. That's really what it is. And a JCVD. And even now he still does occasional films and whatever. And he's a great interview because he's fucking nutty as hell. So he's still around. But this film is the one that kind of made him stand out from all the other people.
Yeah.
And it's his son. There's something about him. You can't quantify it. And the film is so odd because it has Forrest Whitaker in this shit.
I know. It's one of the FBI agents.
Yeah. But the fighting sequences are great. Boogers in, not booger, with ogres in this.
Ogres in this, yeah.
And then, of course, the final fight at the end with Bolo Young, which is so awesome. And his like, what he can't see.
I mean, his pectoral muscles don't make sense.
Bolo Young?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It doesn't. It doesn't like physiologically. They're just they're huge for. I think they're disproportionately massive. Just dude's got pecs for days.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so there you go. So then my number one is the punch from earlier as well, which is Warrior.
Sure.
I mean, how could I not? I mean, I love that film to pieces. Gavin O'Connor doing a great job directing that film. Joel Edgerton, Tom Hardy, Nick Nolte, Jennifer Morrison, I think her name is. Yeah, great stuff all around throughout this.
Oh, yeah. From House.
Yeah. She plays the wife. So all of it through, I just love it to pieces. And I think it's just a film that says so much about brotherhood, about family, about military stuff, and also in the end about like your own journey out of guilt because of a situation that you got into in the military, but also a situation you couldn't avoid, which is the separation of your family. So it's just all of it. And you're watching it play itself out through these two different prisms. One took it and became this, father and teacher and husband and with children. The other took it and became this kind of brooding warrior, literally, and in the military, processing his feelings about the betrayal he felt from certain members of his family, his close-knit family, when the divorce happened. So, and then of course and then how much having an alcoholic father who is sober, but still the memories of what he did to them when they were younger is still resonating for both of them.
Yeah.
Carrying it throughout the film. So a lot and some phenomenal MMA fucking fight sequences as well throughout. So
it transcends being a fight movie.
Yep.
Because it's it's about a family.
Yep.
And the struggles amongst all these individuals. And then you have like the Iraq war stuff thrown in for Tom Hardy's character.
Right.
And then Edgerton and his family. It's good. The fighting is a key part of the movie overall, but I genuinely feel like it's more about the character interaction than anything else.
Absolutely. Okay. Well, there's our lists overall, our separate lists. We're going to compile them now into one big list and give you our official top 10 movies about fighting list. Grabbing the bongos now. All right. Oh, still got to email Jay Golden Eyes. Sorry about that. Okay. Matt, are you going to put it together? Are we putting it together?
Yeah, that's fine. Okay. So Warrior ends up at 1.
Oh, nice.
Well, it's 1-3, so nothing's beating. Bloodsport, you have where again? It's way lower.
Bloodsport is my number 8. Yeah.
What about Rocky 4?
Rocky 4 is my number 5.
All right. So then I would say Rocky 4. We don't have anything else in common beyond that.
No, I don't think so.
All right. So I would just say do those 3 since we both have them. And then from there, we can just do the trade-off. What's your next highest?
Kill Bill Volume 1 at 2.
All right. Kill Bill it is. Next highest after that?
The Matrix at number 3.
All right. Matrix it is. Next highest?
The Raid at 4.
All right. I got Cinderella Man, but I'll put the Raid over.
Okay. Okay.
All right. I got my 5.
Yeah, my 5 is Rocky 4, so knock yourself out. What's your
all
5?
right?
5 on there.
When we were kings.
How many have we got left?
2 left.
Okay. I got my 6. Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon.
All right. I got Karate Kid at 6. So you got a coin. You want to flip a coin?
Nah, put Karate Kid up there, man.
All right.
I'm fine with that. The fans wanted it on the chat as well, so okay. Who am I to argue with the fans?
All right, there we go. Easy peasy.
Oh, nice. Okay, no need for the coin. Nice. All right, here we go. The top 10 movies about fighting. Yeah. At number 10.
Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon.
At number 9.
The Karate Kid.
At number 8.
When We Were Kings.
At number 7.
Cinderella Man.
At number 6.
The Raid.
At number 5.
The Matrix.
At number 4.
Kill Bill Volume 1.
At number 3.
Bloodsport.
Coming in at numero 2.
So Rocky 4.
And our number 1 movie about fighting is
Warrior.
Come out and play. Good stuff, everyone. And Matt, thank you all so much for joining us live. All you $10 and above patrons, you get to watch us every second and fourth Thursday of every month. We come to you live. Is that correct, Matt? Second and fourth Thursdays? Am I saying
that? It is second and fourth. And it's always nice to see everybody that joins us in the chat.
Yeah.
And so thanks to everybody that showed up today. Hopefully you enjoyed it. And I know I'll be in better spirits on the next live show. So be a slight bit more animated.
Thank you for powering through it, Matt.
The show must go on.
Hey-o. Yeah, thanks to Mason Sasser, Drew Enns, Matthew Simmons. I want to give some love to everybody who's been roaming around with us. Colson Koliopoulos rolled up in here. Always nice to see Colson as well. James, just a guy named James. Really Rowe. And I believe that's everybody. And Drew Enns, I did say Drew. And then Philippe Punt, of course. Thank you all so much for joining us here live. And if you're not a member of the Patreon, you can do so right above my head there, patreon.com/thetop10. Or if you're listening, you can go to that address and see the tiers. But $10 above gets you access to watch us do 2 shows live every second and fourth Thursday of the month. You get to know the topic ahead of time. You get to hear the show or watch the show ahead of time. And you get to have your comments brought onto the screen so we can respond to them. Anything else to say, Matt, on your end? What have you got to plug or promote?
Follow the show at Top 10 Show on Twitter and on Instagram and YouTube. It is the Top 10 Podcast with the number 10. So hit us up over there if you want to see any of the stuff we're doing. And you can follow me anywhere at Matt Knows. Check out Settle the Score and Dropping Dimes. And that is it for me this week.
There you go. Follow me at The Rocha Says on Twitter and on Instagram. And, of course, I've got the Cinephiles and the Geek Buddies as podcasts. And then come on over to my YouTube channel as well. YouTube.com/John Rocha Says The Outlaw Nation. All right, we're out of here. Much love to all of you. Take care of yourselves. And if you're getting vaccinated like Matt, make sure you take it easy, take it slow, drink a lot of water, and rest. And we'll talk to you next time on another brand new episode of the Top 10 Show.